Good morning. So from today I'm starting a commentary on some parts of the Hagada and Pesach, also with the insights of Dessler, Maharal and some others, and with any questions. So I will begin with a well-known section of the Hagada Pesach, which is brought Hagada after the description of the first vision shown to Avraham Avinu, where he was given a prophetic description of what turned out to be the enslavement and redemption from Egypt. So then it continues with this text, which is well known also as a song. Vehi she'omdo, vehi she'omdo, la'vo yiseinu v'lo. Vehi she'omdo, la'vo yiseinu v'lo. She'lo yechad bilvad, Aleinu lechal loiseinu, Elo shechol do'e v'odo'e, Oimtem aleinu lechal loiseinu, V'hakodosh Baruch Hu, Matzileinu mi'odam, V'hakodosh Baruch Hu, Matzileinu mi'odam. So this means, it is this which has become a pillar established to our forefathers and others. So not only one group, one nation rose up against to destroy us, but in every generation they arise to destroy us, because the Baruch Hu saved us from their hands. So, first let me give the simple explanation of this, which I think we can understand better today than any time in the history of our people. Why do I say this? We say in every generation. Because the simple explanation is Vehi goes on what was revealed to Avraham Avinu in the first vision he had from Hashem, known as the Brit Bein HaBetarim, the covenant between the pieces. Well, there are a number of interpretations. The major interpretation given in Midrashim is that there's a description that your seed, this is the introduction, after having told them all the nations of the world will be blessed through you, that means through your seed, and then in the vision he was told that your seed will be exiled in a land which is not theirs, and there they'll be persecuted, and afterwards they'll go out with great possessions. So there's here a premonition of the exodus from Egypt and the suffering. The sages point out that it's not only a pattern for what will happen at the beginning, before the birth of the people of Israel in the land of Egypt, but if Am Yisrael will be on the highest level, then they'll go out with great possessions and they'll get their land, which is described there. But the description is not there of the 7 nations, the 10 nations. In other words, the sages say, it's Rashi brings on the spot, it's a reference to what will happen in the final Geula also. So, to understand the Haggadah Pesach, also in every generation, we have this phrase a bit later, also in every generation, a person regarded himself as though he went out from Egypt. It means the pattern of Egyptian persecution in all its terrible aspects might return again and again. But what has kept us going? That first vision, that we know that whatever suffering we go through, in the end Hashem will save us from the hands of our enemies until the final redemption. Why do I say that this is more significant now than ever? Because we have seen so many generations of persecution and salvation. Unfortunately, the worst was the Nazis that we had till now. But yesterday, just to bring it up to date, I saw in the papers that on one of the synagogues, I don't know which one, in Europe, some anti-Semite wrote on that Arbeit macht frei. It's not clear whether it was written, it was graffiti written by neo-Nazis, or more likely by fundamental sections of Islam, which are all over Europe now. So, it's to see Arbeit macht frei takes us back to that first vision. Because that first vision, what went through the cut up pieces of the offerings, it said, Ve'letanu asham belapid eish. Behold, they passed through a burning oven and a pillar of fire. What's the significance of the burning oven? So the sages say it's a reference to Shibud Malchut, to the persecution which will come from the nations of the world. It didn't yet exist in Egypt, but it shows us there's a possibility this might happen. This is the first reference in the Chumash for the crematorium. That's the burning oven. And it's interesting, the King James version of his 15th chapter of Bereshit, of Genesis, is called the Holocaust. Because Holocaust also means burning up. But the Holocaust is also the name that is stuck to what happened. And the Kodesh Baruch Hu, he attempted to destroy all the Jews, complete genocide. Kodesh Baruch Hu saved us. He brought us to Eretz Israel. And now, unfortunately, it's been revived. Primarily, in its most extreme form, by Ishmael, as it says in the prophets already, and all the words of the Midrashim. Before the Mashiach comes, there's going to be a war between Ishmael and Edom, and although Ishmael is not called one of the four empires, but as a whole empire, it's not been so anti-Semitic as the Edom, that's what we regard as Western Nazism, and its predecessor, the Spanish Inquisition and Roman persecution. But they have swallowed whole all the lies and propaganda of the Nazis. And when we look in the Chumash, there's another place where we see a clear reference to the Holocaust of the Nazis. And that is in the long list of suffering and curses that might come upon the people of Israel if we don't listen to Hashem. And it concludes also with Arbeit macht frei, because it says in the end, you will want to sell yourselves as slaves to work, but they don't want to buy you. No interest in buying you slaves. They want to gas you. They want to burn up your bodies. Arbeit macht frei. So we've had all this, and we take courage today also, because Guru Matzilenu Miyadam. And if we look carefully at the descriptions which are given, the prophets and the Midrashim, the Zohar, one of the places of Ishmael, before the Mashiach will come, it says it's happening exactly as it's predicted. It says there'll be all different groups. The ultimate target is the Jews. And then there'll come a battle also between Ishmael and Esau. Ishmael is keen to go against the Western world, despite the fact that they have taken up in their whole propaganda the same manifesto. In fact, the manifesto of Hitler, which unfortunately caused the smoking arms to burn up a third of our nation, was also put forward by the Mufti of Jerusalem. And now we find a combination of Ishmael and Esau spreading all over the world, especially in Europe, back in Europe. And what is happening though? That it's quite true that their ultimate target is against the people of Israel. But Hashem does not allow them to unite. As is mentioned frequently in the Chumash, that and all those who want to increase iniquity, they break up into feuding groups. And one group wants to destroy the other group. Unfortunately, the warring groups have massacred hundreds and thousands of innocent people all over the world, and especially in Syria and the other Middle Eastern countries. They've also waged war against Israel, but they haven't succeeded. Hashem did not allow them to succeed. They're using the gas which is used to push Jews and other similar groups into the gas chambers, and they've used it against fellow Muslims who have a different interpretation of it. And Christians, everyone is suffering today from their cruelty. But above all, when we see today a literal fulfillment of what it says in all the prophets, as it says in chapter 83 of Tehillim, it says there's going to come a time, unfortunately, when, it says there, that Edom and Ishmael will work together, and Amalek, and they they work together in one aspect. That the name of Israel should be wiped away from this earth. And in fact, they've taken it off. Israel doesn't appear on their maps. They're not taught to their children that there is such a thing, except an object of hatred. And the latest missile has it written, I think even in Hebrew, that the purpose of this missile, which can from Iran reach us, is the missile intended to wipe Israel from this globe. But we say no, even if you Omad Aleinu L'Chaloteinu, Kodesh Baruch Hu Omad Aleinu V'Yadam, this is our faith. Now, instead of now starting with deep analysis, some are commentators, since the essence of celebrating the Seder night is based on Hagada. And Haggadah is not just to describe what happened, but to allow it to be told an ongoing story, and to bring it in front of us, in front of our children, to bring keneged einenu, that we should feel it and its importance for us in every generation. So one of the methods, which is described in the Chumash, the birth of our people, and in the Hagada of Pesach, is not to tell things, but also to answer questions. The essence is positive. It's got to be passed on from generation to generation, which means in every generation it's the duty of those who have received the traditions to make sure that this message, which is part of the history and the destiny of the people of Israel, should be absorbed by each generation. How could that be done? Only if those who receive the traditions and know the answers, receive them when they question them, will now continue to pass it on through the way in which even halakha until today is passed from generation to generation through shooting. Through shooting. What's shooting? Shooting? Do you know in Jewish Talmudic language, what do you call it? Shooting. Shooting? It's Shin, Vav, Tav. Initial letters. What's it stand for? Shin, Vav, Tav.
This is
She'elot u'tshuvot. Questions and answers. You find this, the basis of the Torah is Torah Sheba'al Peh. What's based Torah Shebechtav is the inspiration. It's the word of Hashem, the word of His prophets, and what happened to teach us lessons for all times. But it's the oral tradition which is the lifeblood of Jewish continuity. And it comes through questions and answers all the way through. Since the cessation of prophecy, they used to go to the prophet, was the big Sanhedrin to ask questions. Since then, you look at the Talmud, constant questions and answers. What's the basis of it? The Seder night, the Dash of Pesach, as described in the Chumash, 12th chapter of Shavuos. So have you any questions? Start with questions. Then we'll see what the answers.
I have a general question. There are 15 parts, sections of Haggadah. I think it's 15. So what is the significance? Is there a significance to that number 15?
Well, you find many different ways you can divide the Haggadah Pesach. Divide into lesser portions, and divide into 15. You do have the 15 Mahalot. Dayenu. It's 15. 15 Dayenus. You could say that it corresponds to, it says, Kiyot al-Keis Ko. The smallest name of Hashem is Yud and Hey, which is 15. Which describes the way in which Hashem has created the physical and spiritual world, which should not be complete until Amalek disappears. As we say, Amalek is the power that continues to enter into the methods used by Esav and Ishmael. You know, the cruelty of Esav was increased by the cruelty of Amalek. And both Esav and Amalek, in their attitude, have been adopted and increased and exaggerated despite the Holocaust, by Ishmaelim, who were one of the reasons some of them denied the Holocaust, like our peace partner, wrote his doctorate on Maharal, on the denial of the Holocaust. It's done with the perhaps hinted aspect that they didn't finish their job, and we have to complete it. That's really what lies behind the Holocaust deniers, especially, we know also in Iran, they've had a few conferences of people who deny the Holocaust because they want to complete it. Today with non-conventional weapons. Now we'll have to, so maybe you can say, against that we've got Koch. Hashem is still the master of history. Everything that happens is still controlled by Hashem. He does not allow freedom of action to those who want to destroy the people of Israel. He does allow them to a certain extent, but not to annihilate us. Now, so I'm sorry, as I've been asked to go to another yeshiva, so you'll excuse me for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Also with any further questions. Is there any of these lying? Please take one, but if any lying around, give them. Right. To me. Only if you've got this one. Okay, yeah. I'll have a drink first.
Finish, This is off.
Yes, Richard.